that when we did our front-end study. Scholars are using a hybrid of online and library use. We didn't expect that. We were very surprised to see that many scholars, before they even go to the library, will go to Google and Wikipedia and do searches. Even in the year and a half since we did the study, that's probably not surprising to you, but we were shocked. We never expected a scholar to use Wikipedia. But then we realized that when they do go to a Wikipedia page, they don't even read any article or essay. They just go right down to the bibliography, and they explore that bibliography, and books and references they find there, they bring to the library. So also we were surprised that they did not care how long the essays are that a scholar will write. We have some essays by our scholar, Bob Brown, that are 30 pages long, at least in printed form. But if they're well written, if they are not redundant, and if they don't try to explain basic concepts that a scholar does not need, we were surprised that the scholars said, this is just fine. We don't care how long it is, as long as it makes a point and it's well written and well edited. And this is something new, as you know from books that are printed, and if you've ever worked on them, you usually have to fit your ideas into a certain page count. We also found something that was less surprising, that high-resolution images would be really valuable for our users. The iPad and e-publication revolution blossomed about 1 year after we began the project, so we had to quickly see what the new standards might be and keep up with the principles and these quickly evolving tools. We realized that we need to plan for and embrace a variable reading and research experience. We need the text to be resizable, pictures need to be expandable, the software needs to remember where you are, where you left off when you were reading. It should be very searchable. We want to be able to highlight and annotate text, handle embedded videos and audio, and make this content shareable with all devices. So the Online Scholarly Catalog Initiative is really supporting this variable reading experience. And the Art Institute of Chicago teamed up with the IMA Lab. The IMA Lab is the Indianapolis Museum of Art, their software development team. They were the developers for the first prototypes in this project that have been made. And those two prototypes are live on the Chicago Art Institute site. I'd love you to take a look at them because they're really beautiful. They created some open source Drupal-based modules, and these reading tools, I think, really are close to what you can get now on an iPad, and which everyone expects already. So the AIC and IMA Lab made something that's beautiful and robust, and tools that will be available for everyone to use in developing their own online publications. So we decided that we should build on their good work and partner with the IMA Lab for further development of these Drupal-based modules. Oh, and by the way, the Chicago Art Institute is working with their collection of Impressionist art because they have such a strong and beautiful collection. You'll enjoy just looking at the paintings. This is an illustration that was done by Sam Quigley, who's from the Chicago Art Institute, where he, I think, gives a good example of this kind of dilemma where we're trying to find a balance between e-publications and p-publications or print books. We don't want our online catalog to look like a database, though nearly all the content will live in a database. We don't want it to look like a print book either, because it would look like a very awkward emulation of a printed page. But we want to keep the useful features like a table of contents and bibliography. This diagram also illustrates the crux of the philosophical debate. How will scholars' arguments be formed or affected by technology? Can a scholarly argument be chunked up into little pieces and co-created with other scholars online? Many are advocating this new approach, and it may come to pass in the future, but we feel at LACMA that there's still a need for the fully formed argument with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So that's what we're hoping to share in a very useful way online. This is the architecture of our catalog. We're also creating this front end in JavaScript, HTML5, and CSS. Every screen will have the main image, the object that's being considered, on the screen. It will always be there, unless you decide to make that portlet smaller and you don't want to see it. But the goal is to be able to always reference that object easily while you're reading at any time. And then this is an undesigned diagram of the main reading page. It's one of the main wireframes. And again, keep in mind that the artwork image will always be seen here, but I wanted to kind of show you a little more closely all the different components that we're trying to get onto this main reading screen. That will have very robust reader tools, will have many comparative images, very long essays. Will take many, many screens to read that very interesting essay, actually. And we want a lot of resources for the scholar to be right at their fingertips, you know, like a glossary and maps and conservation information. They want everything. We want everything, but we want it to look simple. This looks too complicated for most of the researchers. So we will when we're actually designing this now, these tools will be kind of hidden. And that's what the Art Institute of Chicago has done. They've hidden the tools so that you don't see them while you're reading, but you can click a tab when you need them. And this is an example of what the Art Institute of Chicago has done. These are part of the reader's tools that you don't actually see when you're reading, but you click on that tab that you see at the left, and it pops up this synchronized footnote that goes with the content. We're going to use this same feature, but it's going to look completely different on the front end. And then on the same tab, you'll have the option to look at comparative images that you can scroll back and forth in a carousel. And this is across the bottom. We plan to always have some sort of easy access of these comparative images, but again, ours we think will look quite different from this. But we're able to use the same back-end Drupal module. We're also adding a feature which will allow the reader to slide around little portlets of text and images to suit their style and screen. We're using the Sencha framework, which you can see here, and you can access it on the, oh gosh, it's hard to see that blue against black, isn't it? Sorry about that. In my write-up, I'll repeat those URLs for you so you can see them more easily. So in this, on this web page, you'll be able to see how you can just drag and drop sections of the content around. You can open and close the sections. So this is the same page, the same content, where we've moved around some of the portlets and opened things up. So I think that our users may enjoy this approach, but it'll be a challenge to communicate to them quickly that this is possible and to show how you do it. The reader's tools will also allow highlighting text and making notes. You can see one of the yellow sticky notes here in the right-hand column. The idea was to make the note look like a yellow sticky and to emulate what you would do in a print book where you could make notes in the margin of a book. We also plan to add a central location that's sort of a workspace where those notes will be collected and you can save images in your own research desktop.